Kia ora, Anna, and welcome to Under the Checkered Flag. Before we get started, thank you all for bearing with us with all our technical issues lately. We're getting there, and thankfully, all our microphones are being picked up today, so it's a good day. We're coming into the second half of the MotoGP season, and before we talk about this week's race in Austria, I just want to touch on a few topics. The first of those being Yamaha. Now, they have 4 contracted riders for next year and 1 rider that is out of contract but is outperforming the teammate who I think is underperforming. So the 4 riders that have contracts for next year are Fabio Quartararo and Alex Rins at the Monster Energy Yamaha MotoGP team, and Toprak Razgatlioglu and Miguel Oliveira at the Prima Pramac Yamaha team. The rider out of a seat is Jack Miller. Now, I want to ask the two of you, do you think that the 4 contracted riders should be the riders in the teams they are, or do you think that Miller should get another ride at the expense of someone else? What do you guys think?
Honestly, if I was to switch it around a bit, I'd get rid of Alex Rins. Not like he's a nice fella, but like even before his injury, he wasn't good. Oh, no, that's mean. He wasn't great. And it's not really somebody I'd put on a developing team who's already struggling as is. I just don't think he's good enough to be there anymore. I have to be frank and honest about it. I'm sure he's lovely. Wish him luck elsewhere, but I don't think he deserves the extra contract. If I was to get rid of him, I'd put Miller in his place. I'd keep Toprak where he is because I don't want him there. I've said this already. I don't want Toprak in MotoGP, but I can't change that. So I'll leave him exactly where he is. He'd be perfectly fine there. Thing is, I don't know who I would replace the extra seat with. I don't know who would work well in a Yamaha, and that's what really irritates me because I just do not know. So that's really up to debate of what other people think.
Yeah, I've kind of got the same opinion as Kelly about Alex Rins. I know it's not his fault. It's largely down to the injury that he has. But honestly, I feel the same way about him and Oliveira, just in the fact that I don't think they really have much more to offer, like competitively in MotoGP. Again, largely down to injuries for both of them. But I would kind of like to see Alex Rins shifted into more of a testing rider role since, again, with his injuries, he's still being affected by it. I just don't think he's really going to improve that much in a racing sense, but I still feel like he has a bit to give in that sort of testing role. So, as the completely unbiased Australian fan I wouldn't mind seeing Jack Miller jump onto the factory bike to replace Rins, as unfortunate as it would be for Rins to lose his seat. But yeah, that's just my thoughts.
See, I'm going to go a little bit different. I do agree that Alex Rins should be moving into that testing phase, but I would probably get rid of Miguel Oliveira because I don't think he's performing up to standard. I think he's been quite disappointing. I'd keep Alex Rins but move him to the Pramac team, and then I'd probably put Miller into the factory team for a year and then send him over to World Superbikes in their factory Yamaha team. Like, I feel like he could be packaged up in a 1 more year in MotoGP and then move over to Superbikes. But that could just be because I guess I'm biased being a New Zealander. He's from Down Under, so that could definitely be playing into my thoughts. And the other place I thought that Miller could go, and I've just thought this today, is I thought he could do a year at LCR and then 2 years on Honda in World Superbike, similar to what I was thinking with the Yamaha deal. Because the next question I want to ask you is about that second LCR seat. So it does look like Chantra is going to get the boot. Let's be realistic here. If there's one person that's disappointed me more than Oliveira this season, it is Chantra. Who do you guys think is going to get that seat? If you can think of anyone.
Me. No. Once again, like if I actually just realized if Miguel Oliveira was to go, I would put Manny Gonzalez in there because I think he's the only one who could probably tame a Yamaha. But if we were to go with LCR Honda, Diogo Moreira, he has been rumored. He's been rumored for everywhere, really. So we can't really tie him down to it specifically. But there's not really anyone who's tied down to LCR at all. So, if like, I don't know. It's really up for debate, that one. It's open to literally anyone. Um, it could go to Jenna Donchu if we really, really wanted to. Like, it's very up for debate. But if I was to choose someone to move up, I'd go with Moreira.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how like trusted this is or where I've honestly seen it, but I feel like I saw something saying Moreira doesn't really want to take the Honda deal as much as it's being offered. It just kind of seems like Honda's back in that situation where they can't really find a new rider who wants to jump on the bike, being where it is. So it is quite tough where they are, especially because Chantra's not been getting any real results. And I saw an article where Honda don't think he's been riding quick enough to help, for his data to help development, which is also something they don't really need in the position they are. So yeah, it's quite tough to sort of work out who will be riding that bike if it's a new rider, because it just doesn't really seem like anyone really wants to take it.
It's definitely going to be an interesting seat to keep an eye on because you look at the Moto 2 riders that are with Idemitsu, Mario and Yuki, you don't think they're quite ready to step up. And obviously, that seat has like quite strong ties to Idemitsu and the Talent Cup, and they want to keep it in there. So I guess Onju could be a name that we put in there, but I also don't want to see him on a Honda, even though I love Honda. It's it's a really tough one, and I I feel a bit bad for LCR, like they've got themselves in a bit of a spot with Honda and all the sponsorship, which does sort of bring me to my next topic in improving teams or manufacturers. And which manufacturer do you think will improve most over the second half of the season? So imagine the starting point is today, and from Austria onwards, who do you think is going to take the biggest steps?
KTM or Yamaha? No, KTM is probably a debatable thing, but I think that's mostly down due to rider ability. Sorry, I had to say it. If you look at the KTM, it's not a bad bike, but the riders on it aren't good. Oh God, that's really neat to say because I do love Anea Bastianini and I do love Pedro Acosta, but as you guys know, I am a little bit kind of swingy between Maverick Vinales and Brad Binder. I love I love Brad Binder as a person, but it's just not been his year. It hasn't been his year for a long time now, and he's just going down every race weekend. And if we're going to be consistent with KTM trying to improve themselves, he needs to go, including Maverick Vinales. I'm sorry, I don't think Vinales is good. I know, kill me, hang me. Sorry, he doesn't work with me. He never worked with me. So he is getting the boot in my head as well. But aside from that, Yamaha's been making good progress. So I'd go with either one of those.
Yeah, I'm probably on the opposite side of the opinion about KTM as Kelly. I feel like they'd be one of the ones. Just I know that their bike kind of suited uh, Brunner, but I still feel like they'll sort of carry that momentum through. Hopefully, all of the riders, including mainly Brad Binder, because he's been the one that's sort of been struggling to put up results. I think all of them will sort of take a step forward. And also, I would like to see Yamaha sort of move up a bit as well. And obviously, Honda catching up would be great. I don't really think Ducati can't really get any, can't really do much better than they are doing at the minute, with mainly Marc Marquez, but they've still got all of their bikes in the top 10 in the standings, I believe. And yeah, Aprilia seem like they're pretty comfortably in second as well. So yeah, I think it'll be KTM making sort of the biggest steps in the next couple of races.
I do think that the Hungarian GP is going to be a very interesting Grand Prix in terms of KTM because I think especially for Enea Bastianini and Maverick Vinales, I think that'll be where we truly see if they shine, and I think that will be very dependent as to what offers or if they get offered spots on the grid next year, because I don't believe they've been officially confirmed. I could be wrong though. Knowing me, I'm probably wrong. And I just looked at the Bible, which I will post a link to below, which is where Lily puts all the contracts, and it's a lovely spreadsheet. And it is saying that both Anea and Maverick are confirmed for next year. But still, I agree with you both. I think KTM's going to be the biggest improver. I'm getting ahead of myself because we're not looking at Hungary this week. We're looking at the Austrian Grand Prix. So it is time for our predictions. Now, I don't have an updated standings, unfortunately, because the German and Czech predictions disappeared out of the spreadsheet. I will get this fixed as soon as possible. But if we go back 2 races, Andrew was 0.5 behind PozzA, Kelly's about 3 points behind them, and I'm about 10 points behind. So it's very close. But who wants to start with their Moto3 predictions?
This might come as a shock to you all, but I have changed a grand total of absolutely nothing because even if they are the wrong way around, they always tend to do me well in consistency, so I'm not going to change a lot. For Moto 3, in third, I've stuck with good old David Munoz. As long as he doesn't commit any murders or monstrosities, he's quick, and that works for me. Second, I have Carpe. He's quick, once again, as long as he doesn't commit any atrocities, he's quick. First, Jose Antonio Rueda. I don't think that's changed all season. I don't think it will change all season. It's staying there. As a reserve, I've stuck with Quiles. He's been consistent enough, and if any of my riders crash out, he'd be good enough to get a couple of points in it. Boom.
Yeah, I've gone pretty similar to how I've gone in the rest of the season so far. Starting from P3, I've gone for Max Quiles. Obviously been very impressive since he's come in and looked like fighting for the podium in pretty much every race he's taken part in so far. So I think he'll definitely be in the fight at a track he will have ridden before in Rookies Cup, I believe. So yeah, I think he'll be up there. And I've gone for a KTM IO12 just because I feel like both their riders are super strong. Obviously, Alvaro Carpe is third in the standings and not too far behind Angel Piqueras. And Jose Antonio Rueda's just been dominating. He's miles clear at the front of the standings. And yeah, I think he'll get the job done in first with Carpe in second. And I've gone for David Munoz in third because he's also been pretty competitive lately.
For me, I have not taken much risk. We've got the same names in different orders, all of us, I believe. For my reserve, I've put Carpe. For P3, I've put David Munoz just because he's coming off of a bit of a momentum, and I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful with Munoz, provided he, like Kelly said, he doesn't commit any murders. He's fast. He just needs to calm. In P2, I've put Quiles, and P1, Jose Antonio Rueda. He's just on form. It's so impressive to see. Moving over to Moto 2, I have put Jake Dixon in as my reserve, Aaron Canet in P3. I almost said P2 by default there. That's terrible. In P2, I have gone for Manu Gonzalez, and in P1, I've gone for Diogo Moreira.
Once again, mine haven't changed at all. I've gone right. Okay, maybe this might screw me over, but third, I've gone for Aaron Canna. I know, might not be ideal for me, but Moto 2 is always the one that switches around the most, so it might screw me over a bit. Second, I've gone with Diogo Moreira, and then first, I've gone with Gonzalez because I don't know. I'm praying, and as my reserve, I've gone for Denadon Ju because he works, I guess. So that's mine.
Yeah, I've gone pretty similarly to the last few weeks, just going on inform riders. In P3, I've got Manuel Gonzalez, obviously championship leader. I feel like he'll obviously be in and around the top 5 sort of area, so I think he'll get into third. Celestino Vietti is in P2 for me, just because the Red Bull Ring is, I'd be willing to say, maybe besides Mazzano, is his strongest track. I think he's won there like 2 or 3 times in the last few years. So I think he'll definitely be up there. And P1, we'll all be shocked. I've gone for Dennis Onchu, just because, in my opinion, it's one of his top 5 tracks, and he's already won at 2 of them this year. So I think he'll definitely be in for another strong result. And as my reserve, I've gone for Barry Baltus because, again, same reasoning. He's been really strong in the last few races. So, yeah, that's my Moto2 predictions. Moving on to the sprint race, I've gone very similarly to every other race this year. I've got Alex Marquez in 3rd place, Pecco Bagnaia in 2nd, just because the Red Bull Ring is one of the tracks he normally does well at, and with the sort of thing they found with the front brake disc size, I feel like that'll sort of suit the Red Bull Ring track, so I think he'll be a bit stronger than he's been recently. And P1, obviously, Marc Marquez, because it doesn't really seem like anyone can beat him at the minute. And as my reserve, I've gone for Franco Morbidelli, just because, honestly, he's on a Ducati, so I think he'll be in and around the top 6 sort of area. So I don't think he's a bad choice for the reserve.
Okay, that's incredibly funny. We have the exact same. I mean, this is to the shock of no one because this MotoGP season is Ducati, 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 and then like Mark. So same reserve Morbidelli, P3 Alex Marquez, P2 Pecco Bagnaia. I do think the second half of the season we are going to see that consistency from him. At least I really, really hope so. And in P1 I have Marc Marquez.
Okay, well, unlike the two of you, I am not like that because I would rather die than put Franco Morbidelli anywhere near my predictions unless it benefits me. So I have gone as my reserve Marco Bezzecchi. In 3rd, I've gone Alex Marquez, P2 Pecco Bagnaia, and then P1 Marc Marquez. Wow, what a shock for us all! And then straight into MotoGP feature, as if it really changes anything. It doesn't. But we move on to 3rd, which I have Marco Bezzecchi because I am silly and I would love to see him have a podium, and I will keep that in my head forever. So I have him there. I have Alex Marquez in 2nd. I have Marc Marquez in 1st, and then as my reserve, I have Pecco Bagnaia.
I have gone a little bit different and am sort of taking a bit of a risk. As my reserve, I've gone for Joan Zarco. Cue my LCR fangirl delusions, but I can do what I want. P3, I've gone for Pedro Acosta. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I think this is a home race for KTM, so I'm hoping it gets some like vibes going. P2, I've gone for Pecco Bagnaia, and P1, I've gone for Marc Marquez.
Yeah, I've kept it pretty similar to my sprint predictions. I've only changed my reserve. So P3 still Alex Marquez, P2 Pecco Bagnaia, and P1 Marc Marquez. And the only change I've made is Fabio Di Giannantonio as my reserve, just to be a little bit different from my sprint results. So yeah.
So let's do, before we wrap up, that is, a quick championship check-in. So I'm going to tell you about Moto 3, which is pretty much, I don't want to say it's all wrapped up, but Jose Antonio Rueda is leading the way on 228 points. He's just on such fine form right now. It's very, very impressive. Second place is Angel Buqueras on 143 points, so he's 85 points back. And that's a big gap. We can't say it's wrapped up because we know how much injuries can play a part in this sport. It is a pretty cruel sport. But without a doubt, the rider I thought that would be up there, really battling for the championship, David Munoz, unfortunately isn't. So he's down in 5th place and he's 105 points back. His, you know, it it's good, but he's just still a little bit too reckless. I also want to give a shout out to Joel Kelso, who's in P6, just because Australian. And of course, the Kiwi, because I'm Kiwi, Cormac Buchanan, is having a really good rookie season. Little bit of bad luck lately, but he's in 19th place. The two riders I do think we all need to keep an eye on are P3, Alvaro Carpe, and P4, Maximo Quiles. So we've talked about Quiles a lot lately because he missed 4 races because he was too young. and he's in P4 on 126 points. That's 7 points behind Alvaro Carpe, and these two are battling for Rookie of the Year. And so I just think we could be seeing some super exciting battles between these two. And yeah, Moto3 is always a classic. So that's where we are in the championship.
And moving on to the Moto2 standings, the closest championship at the front of the three of them, Manu Gonzalez is in first with 188 points, looking like he should probably be on to win it. But Aaron Canet's 25 points back in second, and Barry Baltus has been strong in third as well. Diogo Moreira is in fourth with Jake Dixon not far behind in fifth. It's pretty close between a lot of the riders, honestly, sort of from third back to sixth or seventh, with Dennis Onchu and Senna Agius sixth and seventh. Top rookie at the minute is Danny Holgado in 13th, with David Alonso about 17 points back. So it should be interesting to see if those two sort of start fighting a bit. The other rookies, there's Ivan Otola in 18th, Colin Vaya in 20th, with Adrian Huertas in 25th. Yuki Kuni's back in 30th, unfortunately hasn't scored a point yet. So yeah, it's looking interesting in Moto2, and hopefully we can see at least one of the classes have a title fight, probably be in Moto2 this year.
Unfortunately, MotoGP is not looking as exciting, and I can't make it sound exciting to you, so I'm not really going to put much effort into trying it. I'll start from fifth up. I'll go in P5, Fabio Di Antonio, which is good. He was injured for a while. He's on the VR46. He's doing well. Happy for him. Fourth, Marco Bezzecchi. Good day for me. Love Marco Bezzecchi. Happy he's back on good form, and hopefully that will continue for my predictions and for my mental health. Third, I have Pekka Bagnaia because I think the consistency will come back a bit in the latter half of the season, but it's not looking too good, considering he's a MotoGP World Champion. Alex Marquez in second, good for him, following in his brother's footsteps, absolutely beautiful. And then in P1 we have Marc Marquez, who is about a light year ahead of everyone else. Shout out to, unfortunately, in sixth, I'm saying this through absolutely gritted teeth, Frankie Morbidelli. Well done. You could have been higher, only you committed a bunch of atrocities, but I won't talk about them now because that's not my job. Pedro Acosta in seventh. He's kind of kept up his consistency without crashing recently, so he will stay there. Fabio Quartararo in ninth on that Yamaha is quite impressive, and yeah, I'm really, really proud of him. And that's all I really want to mention.
Cool. As always, thank you so much for listening. Drop your predictions in the comment section below. And may we have as few technical issues as we had today next week. Ka kite anō.